When you try to force someone to change their mind or agree to a commitment, it often feels like straining against a stone wall. The harder you push, the more the situation refuses to move. Direct force is a dead end. When you make a demand, you trigger the other person's analytical brain. They stop listening to your request and start looking for reasons to say no. To bypass this resistance, you need to shift from force to structure. We are going to break down a 3-step script that uses behavioral psychology to guide a conversation toward your target outcome. These methods are used by professional negotiators and brand strategists to influence decisions. Because they work on a psychological level, they should be used with a focus on mutual benefit rather than manipulation. Step 1 is to design the choice architecture. Most people resist being told what to do, but they react positively when they feel they are making a decision. You give them that feeling by providing controlled freedom. The common mistake is asking a question that allows for a yes or no answer. If you ask a friend if they want to help you move, you've given them an easy exit. They can simply say no and the conversation is over. The master approach is to present 2 options that both result in your desired goal. You aren't asking if something will happen, you are asking how it will happen. If you want a friend to go out for dinner, don't ask if they are hungry. Ask, should we go to Pizza Hut or Domino's? By choosing between the 2 brands, their brain is forced to process the specific details. They become occupied with the choice itself and stop questioning the premise of going out. As the diagram shows, both paths lead to the same result. Whether they choose the first or second option, they have agreed to your original goal. To practice this, take a goal you have for today and write down a question that offers 2 paths to get there. You exert more influence by setting the parameters of the conversation than you do by making a direct demand. Step 2 is the emotional pivot. You use this when the other person tries to avoid the choices you've presented. This works because of the emotional hijack. While we like to think we are logical, most of our immediate reactions are driven by how we feel in a specific moment. Take this comparison. Instead of telling a coworker, "Do this task for me," you use the reverse trap. You say, "I have a project, but I'm not sure you'd be able to handle the complexity." Their desire to protect their ego often drives them to take on the work just to prove you wrong. You can also use the guilt trap. If someone is avoiding a commitment, don't get angry. Anger makes them defensive. Instead, express a calm understanding of their priorities. You might say, "I understand. If this were a priority for you, you'd find the time." This statement acts as a mirror, forcing them to look at their own behavior and the impact it has on the relationship. When you trigger these feelings of ego or guilt, the other person often feels a need to correct the situation. Their compliance becomes a way for them to resolve their own internal discomfort. Step 3 is to apply the power of silence. This step ensures that the other person stays focused on the internal pressure created by your emotional pivot. Once you have delivered your pivot, you must stop talking. Maintain a neutral expression and hold steady eye contact with 0 facial movement. The silence creates a void that the other person will feel compelled to fill. Without you speaking, their mind begins to replay your last words, increasing their sense of accountability. This is effective when trying to find the truth. You can state, "I know what happened," and then simply wait. The longer the silence lasts, the more likely they are to provide the details you're looking for. If you speak first or move restlessly to break the awkwardness, the pressure vanishes. You must let them be the one to break the silence. Silence shows that you are comfortable with the situation, which shifts the burden of the conversation entirely onto the other person. By combining these 3 steps, framing the choice, pivoting to emotion, and holding the silence, you create a structured environment for the conversation to follow. This framework allows you to navigate interactions without the friction of an argument. By the time the other person agrees to the outcome, they feel they have arrived at the decision through their own logic and choice. Start a 7-day challenge today. Use the choice architecture step in one low-stakes interaction and observe how the other person responds to having 2 preset options. Real influence isn't about having the loudest voice. It's about understanding the psychological mechanics that guide how people choose to act.